Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Paranormal Tuesday. Hope you're all well. Of course, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Carl Blissett. Good evening, buddy.
Good evening, mate.
And, of course, Mr. Robert Dyer. Good evening, Bob.
Hi, mate.
So we do have a very interesting episode for you today. This is the one, I'd say, out of everything we have ever done, covered over the 12 months of doing paranormal living, probably one of the more freakier sort of insights into things. I don't know. I guess it's just the unknown. I don't. There's something about it really. I don't know. It's a bit weirded me out. I'm not going to lie. But anyway, before we do get into this week's episode, which is of course all about shadow people, is it the spirit world or is it something else? And we give our thoughts. Don't forget, guys, we are sponsored, of course, by Paranormal Technology, Paratech, who are based in Northern Ireland. As we mentioned every week, guys, make sure you check them out on Facebook. All our equipment's from there. We've got a brand new piece of equipment from Mark last week, our motion detector, which is absolutely awesome. I can't wait to use it in our next investigation. So make sure you check them out, guys. And of course, as I always say, you do get 10% off your first order when you've shown him that you've liked paranormal technology, when you've liked paranormal living, sorry. So make sure you check them out, guys. It is absolutely fantastic. And we're going to do a collab very soon, which I'm not going to tell you about just yet, but we will be teaming up. Paranormal Living and Paranormal Technology will be teaming up very, very soon for a live, which is going to be absolutely amazing, and I can't wait. And obviously, we will announce that very, very soon for you. So, like I say, this week's episode is, of course, all about shadow people. So, a shadow person is a perception of a patch of shadow of a living humanoid figure seen as a presence of a spirit or another entity. A number of religions do believe in shadow beings as a negative entity. Some scientists believe the reason we do see shadow people is due to sleep paralysis. So that is sort of a quick rundown into the basis of shadow people. Obviously, we're going to talk about personal experiences. And the one thing I find crazy about this topic is a lot of people have experienced this. Pretty much probably everybody has seen a shadow at some point. Out the corner of their eye, or maybe woke up in the night and seen shadow next to the bed or seen something around them. You know, it's quite more common than probably what you perceive as well, which I thought was very interesting. So doing our research, Carl, I will start with you because you're on my left. I think you're on whichever side it is live. What are your thoughts on shadow people?
My thoughts is they're strange. It's really strange because there's reports out there of things just appearing out your peripheral vision. There's people watching the telly and out the corner of their eye. There's something passing behind the TV, behind on the walls, everywhere. And it's really, really common, like you say. It's more common than probably seeing a spirit or an entity, really.
Yeah.
But for me, it's very interesting.
What about you, Bob?
Well, I think it's good. It's interesting as well. Like I say, I mean, I've got a bit of history on it. It's like not much of one, but I know it goes back to the witch doctors and the actual Indians and stuff like that. They used to conjure up spirits and stuff like that. But they used to actually call them the jinn. Why, I don't know. It was like a name for them or the way they conjured them up. But they say that it originates part from that. I don't know. But to me, as I said, if you see something like that, it's trying to send a message. It's trying to get something through. It's trying to make, I don't know, get you to notice that what's going on. But like I say, the shadow people don't always come in shadows. They actually come in like, they could come with torsos. They could come with half an arm, just an arm or a leg or something like that, where they can't reconjure themselves as a full body. It's quite weird, really. Yeah, it's very interesting, and it's very, very sort of like, it makes me feel like, you know, is there another domain out there? Is there contact that we need to make with these shadow people? Some shadow people can harm, and then some shadow people are not as aggressive as others. All depends how they obviously passed, you know, sort of like they died like. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic. And to actually catch one would be absolutely amazing. I believe it, and I think, you know, everybody else should think about it and really take it in consideration. There is something out there. And if you see something like that, it's got to be actually amazing because it's sending a message to you, definitely. You know, people sit in their kitchens, people sit in their living room, you know what I mean? It's absolutely mental, you know. But they don't always come as just one full apparition. They can come as a leg, an arm, or whatever, you know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy. Yeah. I totally agree with it, yeah. I'm on board with that one, definitely. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree there. I think, like I said, doing my research into this, like so many stories and mixed stories as well. Everything from, like you mentioned, the negative stuff to people having some severe stuff happen to where it might just be something stood in the corner of the room and it's not doing anything. They just see a shadow there. And that's one of the things I want to touch upon as we go through the episode of, could it just be, to try and decipher what it is or what we perceive it is, from possibly being spirit guides, loved ones in spirit, and that's just how they're coming through, or is it something completely different and what we don't necessarily understand? One of the stories I heard about today was about this young boy, and it wasn't long before Christmas, and he'd heard this shuffling in his bedroom, and he'd woke up, and obviously there was nothing there. Everyone's in bed, and this, sorry if that made anyone jump. And obviously this was happening through the night. So every hour, roughly, he was waking up, hearing this noise. And then I think it got to about 2 o'clock in the morning. He woke up again, and there was something stood at the end of his bed. Full apparition of this shadow person. Obviously couldn't explain it. Freaked him out to the point he screamed, and then his mum come running in. And there's quite a few stories along them lines of people's experiences, including one where this woman came in to check on her husband because he'd been quite unwell. And then she got to the top of the stairs, she opened the door, there's a full shadow went over her husband's body. And she never told anyone about this. And I think she said about 12 months later, he unfortunately passed away, but she still, to the day he passed away, and never actually told him what she'd seen because she didn't want to freak him out. So that, and I think, like I say, a lot of people have had this experience of seeing things in the corner of your eye. Of course, seeing things like my own personal experience. There is two actually. I was thinking about it today. I'm like, what are my personal experiences I can put in there? And one when I was a kid, and obviously, as I mentioned, my granddad, a lot of you know, he was a medium, and we're staying at his house. And I always used to, because I knew he was a medium, even as a kid, but I knew obviously what he did. There was something always freaky about staying at Granddad's house. I don't know what it was. Just at night time. Don't know what it was. But there was one night, me and my sister obviously were staying there because he was looking after us. And middle of the night, I saw this shadow person next to the bed screaming as loud as I could. Remember, my granddad comes running in middle of the night. And he's like, what's up? Like, there's a person stood next to the bed. Obviously, there was nothing. Whatever it was disappeared. But I still remember that to this day. Always sticks in my mind. To, like you say, me and my sister, I think I woke my sister up screaming, and she started screaming because she wondered what I was screaming at, but there was something stood next to the bed. I just remember seeing the full outline of a shadow, a person stood next to the bed. And the second time it's happened was about 2 years ago. Obviously, it was while I was going to the awareness class at Blackpool, and I woke up in the middle of the night and saw someone walk past the side of my bed. It was a full shadow walking past the side of the bed. Didn't actually bother me though. And if I'm not mistaken, actually thinking about it now, earlier that evening, when I got home from the church, I got upstairs, obviously going to bed, and I saw someone stood on my landing, but it was just the outline of someone. So just thinking about it now, that's probably where it started from that night. But it didn't bother me. I literally wasn't threatened by it. It was whatever it was quite chilled. But like I said, that's my experience. Completely contrast one to not understanding it and screaming the house down to then having that experience again, a couple of years ago. Now I'm older and have more, I guess, insight into the afterlife and the spirit world. And obviously it didn't really bother me as such. I wasn't threatened by it. What about you two? Bob, I'll start with you. Have you had any personal experiences in regards to shadow people or seeing things?
I think we've talked about that. Only when I was a kid, it was like, so it was up my cousin's farm. And like I say, shadow went through to the kitchen, you know what I mean? You're young at that time, you don't really know what you're really looking at there. But that's the only experience I have. And also, I did have one experience when I was in my other uncle's place. As I said, a shadow went past on the stairs. But as for that, I've never actually seen anything like that. Sometimes I get in the living room and I get something going past me, but I don't know if it could be the trick of the mind. I don't know. It could be, I don't know. But I can't really say that I was 100% a shadow that passed through me, passed past me. I don't know. But they're the only two really experiences I've really had. I'd love to experience a bit more better than that.
Yeah. Did you ever feel threatened by it, or did it not bother you?
Wow, yeah, like I said, I was a kid, I wouldn't think of it at that time, you know what I mean? I'm young, what's that, what's going on, you know what I mean? It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
On the other occasion, I was seeing the farm, I'm thinking, well, I don't understand this from the word go, I'm young, what is it, you know what I mean? But as for like now, I do sometimes see things like that, and I really like to get the camera out and have a shifty to see if there's anything there.
Yeah.
But 100% of the time, there's just nothing there. It's just like quick, but I can't identify it as a shadow. It could be just a trick of my mind. I don't know. It's quite weird, really. Yeah, they're the only two experiences I've had. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd love to catch an apparition just pass through. You know what I mean? And or when we go on investigation, just sort of go past the trees or past the wall or what like that. That'd be amazing. But no, I can't say I have. No, I've not really experienced it. Only in them two shadows when I was a kid. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what really put me on the paranormal line, I think. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I wanted to investigate as I got older, and I thought I need to investigate more about what's really going on out there. You know what I mean? So yeah, oh well, please, yeah. Like I said, they're the only experiences I've had so far, anyway.
Yeah. What about you, Carl?
But
For me, yeah, I just go back to my family, really. My auntie, she used to see quite a lot of stuff in the house that she used to live in. She was quite a spiritual person herself, but she'd
Yeah.
seen like a shadow in a bedroom. And she had the little lamp on the side, and then something just blacked out the whole light, and then went towards the end of a bed, and then it formed into like a man with a hood, like a cloaked figure, and then it just started to disappear back into the wall, and then went right across the wall like an ordinary shadow.
Wow.
And she told me about that, and then I ended up going there, and I went to go into the bathroom at the top of the stairs, and I seen the shadow go through the wall into another room, and then I heard a door bang, so I went to had a look in there, and the cupboard door was like swinging open and closing, and then I seen the shadow go around by the wall and back where it came from. That was one of my experiences that I can relate to.
well,
Wow.
that's some
So
experience.
how did you feel about it? What was your thoughts? Do you think it was a negative thing, or do you think it's just spirit world coming through?
I think for me, it was probably just the spirit world coming through, but it's that unknown when you can't make out the facial features, things like
Exactly.
that. You
Yeah.
don't know what it is, you know.
Yeah.
But for me, yeah, it's that unknown, really.
Yeah. So, guys, those watching, as we mentioned last week, this is a pre-recorded episode because I'm away on my holiday. So, hello from futuristic time. But just get you. I'd love
Sunny
to get you.
himself, you.
It is. But I would love you to get your comments in. Let us know your thoughts, of course, on this topic. If you've had any experiences yourself you'd like to share with us, do put them in the comment section. And when we do come back to doing another live, of course, we will share them out with you. And I'm hoping to do a live while I'm on holiday, even if it's just a quick one, just saying hi and talking to you all. But yeah, I'd love to get your comments in and your thoughts on shadow people. Again, do you think it's the spirit world or do you think it's something else and possibly negative? Because leading into what I've just said then, again, Hollywood adaptations on things always turn everything into a negative. And again, with shadow people, there's a lot of negativity taken to this. In a lot of the research, a lot of the stories, there is, like you said, there's a lot of things. What I guess sometimes when people maybe turn it into a negative when they don't understand it, it's like, this is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. That's what's always interested me. And like you say, this is the freakiest research I think I've done out of anything. But because it is that unknown, and I think that sometimes that is a lot of the fear, as we've said on numerous episodes about other topics, is that fear of the unknown. And like you say, hopefully to the end of the episode, we do come to a conclusion of what our thoughts on this are. And Bob mentioned obviously at the beginning about the jinn. Is it jinn? I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Which they do believe is a shadow demon I think it's in the Indian religion,
Indian
I think it
tribe.
is. And they believe that obviously this is seen as a demonic entity. Even the Christian church, doing the research, again, they believe that this is something, from the darker side of life, this is heaven and hell, and they believe that is something from there. And I think, again, it's that stigma attached to sometimes maybe it might not be actually as bad as what we perceive,
No,
Um,
exactly.
because one of the other things I was thinking about today was, is it, something we conjure up ourselves? Because if we're in a negative mindset, if we're having a bad day and you're feeling awful and, you got the weight of the world on your shoulders, are you sort of manifesting that to stand up, and appear in front of you? Is it your sort of negative self coming out and showing itself to you, which is why it just freaks you out. You know, that's another
Could
thought
be.
I did. Another thought I did think. What are your thoughts on that, Carl? You know, with
Yeah,
along them
I
lines.
agree. Definitely agree. Like you said, like Hollywood perceives what they're put out there, and people automatically think, oh well, if I see that, it's going to be negative. It's going to be a bad thing. When 9 times out of 10, it's not really a bad thing. I don't think. It's just that fear of the unknown. You don't know
Hmm.
what it is, but it's just sit that if you've got something like that in your house, for instance, and you see that, just take it as it is. Really, it's
Yeah,
might be nothing frightening or anything like that. It's just a spirit, really, I suppose, just doing its own thing.
yeah. Do you believe that we could sometimes manifest certain things like this ourselves?
Yeah, I definitely do. Yeah, I mean, because like you say, with the bad energy you can give off, it'll like feed off that energy, and
Mm.
it's like a projector, isn't it? It projects it out there, and the energy comes out of you, and then you perceive that as
Hmm.
yourself doing it, really.
Yeah, I think I meant to mention this on the last episode when we did the one on poltergeist, and again, that is
Mm.
one of the a lot of parapsychologists believe that we actually conjure up poltergeist activity ourselves, but due to
Yeah,
us giving off negative energy, which just shows you how strong energy is. Obviously, we're all made of energy. Um, excuse me, and I think it's amazing how probably strong the mind actually is and what we can give off ourselves. What
Well,
about you,
exactly.
Bob? Do you agree with that? Do you think we can sometimes manifest this and certain things ourselves?
Well, I think like I say, I believe it can happen. I do. You don't know, do you? You don't know what force you're carrying. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you're in a place and something appears, you don't know what's caused that. It could be something from you. You could know it could be, I don't know. I ain't got a clue. But yeah, I mean, I agree with it. There could be something there that we really don't understand and we don't know. And that
Mm,
we could be in a situation where our inner soul could, represent itself and, that sort of thing. Nobody knows, do they? I mean, they do say
that's a good
souls
point.
can go from one soul to another. So it's possibility, yeah. I mean, a dark entity, a shadow as you call it, could be one of them dark souls. Yeah, yeah. I
Mm,
don't know, but yeah, I totally agree. It's amazing to think where they come from and what's all going. Well, what makes them appear and this sort of thing. I think it's crazy. I don't think it's just like the place they're in or the place you're investigating. I reckon it could be something coming from you that's transporting that to where you are and
mm.
causing that to in the soul to release itself for some reason or other. I don't know. It could
No,
might be
that's a
one of the other spirits out there. You know what I mean? That
mm.
you're investigating or what? I don't know. Weird.
That's a great point. And thinking about it now and the experiences we've been talking about and different aspects to this shadow people and the shadow entities. Could it be spirit coming forward towards them because they can't fully manifest as a full body apparition? Could it be something that's how they come through to show us? Because, as I mentioned from personal experiences, seeing shadow next to the bed, and of course standing on my landing, but it didn't. I weren't threatened by it. And like as we still say, everybody's got a shadow. A shadow is very familiar to us, but I think sometimes because it's just seen as a black mass, it just startles people, rather than something we understand.
So I'm saying it'd be something like a guardian angel or something like that. You do get them, like what I mean. It could be somebody following you. It could be somebody who's attached to you,
Hmm.
and they could be your guardian angel when you're in danger or whatever, or you're taking a scary challenge on or whatever. They can appear at any time. I don't know. In this realm, I don't know. But like I say, I think that there's more to shadow people than just appearing. They're there
Hmm.
for a reason. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They could be guardian angels to your loved ones who's just come to keep an eye on you and this sort of thing. Nobody knows. That's my point. I just think there's something more to it than that. The
yeah.
shadow
yeah,
person is not going to appear for the sake of it. They're going to appear for a reason.
That's a
And
good
they
point.
want attention for a reason, so they're going to make sure you see them. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Quite weird. Yeah. I'm amazed with it.
What about you, Carl?
yeah, definitely, mate. I think it's in the spirit world, like to manifest themselves. It might be easier for them to manifest as a shadow, than an actual full-bodied apparition in front of you. It might be just easy for them just to project themselves as a shadow,
Hmm.
and they might not want you to recognize them. It's just showing you that they're there and either watching
Yeah,
out for you.
possible.
Yeah,
Totally agree with that.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
they've got disfigurement or something like that, you know, we don't know, do
Yeah.
we? And if
Yeah.
you
No,
form as a shadow, you're not going to see their full, you know what I mean?
well,
Yeah.
there's stories, isn't there, of people, well, experiences, should I say, rather than stories, where they've seen the shadow, but they have eyes, and they just see the eyes looking at them, or they might just see a mouth. So again, is it something just forming without, you know what I mean? Could it be something like that? Like you say, one of your loved ones or your spirit guides, but the fact that you're getting bits and pieces, you know, it's not forming
Oh,
properly, or it's, you know, maybe you see eyes is because it's what you know, some people have eyes you always remember. You might remember the look of their eyes or how their eyes were, and that's why you're seeing their eyes. You know, just things like that.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's it. You don't know. You don't know what it is. It's just, it's something that we don't understand that we need to investigate a bit more and find out a bit more about it, because it could mean many things, but I still think it's also the fact it's trying to communicate in some way, some form. And when it does communicate, then it knows that you've looked, you've seen them, whatever. Obviously, you're not sending messages, but they're saying it could be a loved one or whatever. Just saying, I'm here to help you. There you go. You know what I mean? It's just crazy.
Mm,
And they're not all
Yeah.
nasty, they're not all horrible and stuff like that. They come in
yeah,
different forms and this sort of thing. It's crazy.
but it's
Really
like
good.
people's like haunted buildings, isn't it? You get good spirits, you get maybe sometimes bad spirits.
That
In
was that.
between, you know, again, same kind of experiences people have had. So, guys, make sure you do get your comments in, like you say. We'll do a live about this, excuse me, and we'll be able to. I'll be going over your comments as well. So please do make sure you get your comments in your thoughts, because, like you say, we could probably talk about this for hours. You know, it's
Mm.
definitely a really, really interesting subject. So, guys, one of the things I want to mention, don't forget, we will be live at the end of August, Friday the 30th of August at 9 p.m. We will be live, and of course for our Paranormal Living Live, where we have the location set up. Like I say, we've been wanting to do this place for a while, and I'm really looking forward to it. So please do make sure you join us for that. It's going to be a great investigation. I really, really can't wait on this one. It'd be really interesting what happens as well, because this, you know, I think it was originally built in like 1000s or something, 1100s.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Roughly. I think it was something like that. It was originally built this place, so it's definitely going to be a really, really interesting
That was amazing.
investigation, and the history behind the place is going to be absolutely awesome. And of course, don't forget our first Thursday Night Live, which is Thursday the 12th of August at 8 p.m., a night of experimental communication. So, of course, as we mentioned, every episode will be different. You know, we have everything from the spirit box, of course, to the cat balls, you know, maybe table tipping, seances, physical mediumship, everything you can possibly think of. We will be covering over the course of our brand new program, Thursday Night Live. So it's going to be really interesting. And of course, it'd be interesting to see what communication we get with the other side. Could it be knockings on the walls? Of course, might not get anything on certain episodes or at all. But like you said, that is why it is a night of experimental communication. So make sure you do check it out, guys, and join us for that, and send us your thoughts and what you'd like to see as well, of course, because
Don't miss it.
that's what we're excited for. Yes, absolutely, definitely. So back to where we were with our shadow people. So yeah, I think, as I mentioned, you know, we could literally talk about this for hours, and obviously I imagine the comments in the comment section. It's a shame, obviously, we've had to pre-record this, because I'd definitely like to see what everyone's thoughts are on this. But I think we're all sort of at the point where it's not always a negative thing as it's sometimes
Oh,
seen.
no,
I,
definitely.
th- I think we're definitely at that sort of thought process about, of course, shadow people. And you know, I think sometimes, like you said, just reiterating what we mentioned, it's just sometimes the fear of the unknown, or it's a startlement. It's like, it's just because there's something there and you don't understand it, and obviously it startles you. You know, it does put that fear into you. But one of the things I do want to touch up on now, which of course is the scientist's view. Obviously, we give our view and our thoughts, but the scientists put it down to sleep paralysis. So they, you know, obviously people have experienced. It's not it's an awful thing, sleep paralysis. There's nothing worse than waking up in the middle of the night and you can't move. It's the weirdest thing. Um, so, Carl, I'm going to start with you, because obviously you're on this side. You know, do you think it is sleep paralysis? Do you think there is a rational explanation to the whole thing? Do you think scientists are right? Or are you going back to obviously just what we were saying earlier?
Just going back to what we said earlier, I can't see how a sleep paralysis can form a shadow. Really, if you think about it, it's physically impossible.
That's unheard of,
You're
isn't it?
seeing something. Yeah, you're seeing something with your eyes. You're not physically touching it. You're seeing it with your eyes. So I don't think sleep paralysis is the cause of it. I think it's very wrong on that one, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Bob, what about yourself?
No, I agree with Carla. I think that's just a myth, man. I don't believe that at all. No, I believe that if you see something, you see something, and that's it. At the end of the day, that spirit, if that shadow's there, whatever, that's genuine. It's nothing to do with sleep paralysis at all. It wouldn't be there for that reason anyway. Like I said, it's no. I'm on with him. There's no way no. Whoever come up with that idea, it's a myth. I'm sure it's
Well,
definitely.
the one point about this whole thing, they put it down sleep paralysis. But what about the people that experience it through the day? As many of you, how many of the viewers and people who may watch it later there see something out of the corner of your eye in the middle of the afternoon, you turn and you go, sure, I just seen something. How many people do that all the time?
Like I say, yeah, I do. I see things like that, but I don't want to put it down to sleep paralysis.
That's what I mean. In the middle of the afternoon when I'm wide awake, even when we've done lives talking, on the odd occasion something happens and you just okay, good evening. You know what I mean? It does happen, and I'm not asleep. It's not sleep paralysis. It's not my brain pretending I'm asleep for literally a second. I think that's probably the easiest way to say you understand something when you don't.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Mad that. No.
Scientists, like science, they have to put something down for a rational reason, and they'll put it down as that.
We want concrete proof if they're going to say that, obviously, but I don't think that's the case at all.
The thing is, with certain things, there will never be enough proof. Just people are skeptical, as many of us know. When we get it on the live sometimes, and even on some of the TikToks, you share a picture of an orb, and it's that unexplainable, like that one Denise sent me, which we've all seen, and it's people put it down like, oh, it's just a spider. Like, how is a spider doing this?
What?
Yeah. But this is what I mean. When some people, I think they're in that certain mindset, there'll never be enough proof. Spirit, shadow people can physically stand in front of you and go, hello, I'm here. It's still not enough proof. And again, I think that's what for the thing with the scientists is putting it down to something rather than just saying, actually, it's something we may not understand and it might be worth looking a bit more into. I was watching, sort of off subject of it, but it really interested me, was, was John Cleese. And his thing at the minute is doing afterlife, proof of the afterlife. How can we prove it, And there's a thing on YouTube, I've watched most of it, it's about 2 hour long. It's like a Q&A with these scientists from around the world, but they're open-minded scientists. Definitely worth a look, to the point where they explain, one of them, I think he started off as a skeptic, didn't believe in anything like this. And it wasn't until he's done his research, but because he's open-minded about it, and he's got all, obviously, people's different experiences. Obviously, they talked about everything from reincarnation to obviously what happens to the body when you pass away, about the brain, and quite an in-depth look into certain things. But I liked their thoughts because they're putting the science to it at the same time, but they're still open-minded enough to obviously believe in that there is something and that life does go on, which I thought was really interesting. So I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to share it on the page, but it's definitely really interesting and worth a look.
Wow.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that was what I was going to say. So, guys, sorry, Bob.
They turn around and say, right, that shadow people can actually jump from one body to another. I mean, I don't know if that's a myth or not, but I've seen, obviously, videos on YouTube where it actually happens. When they go from one person walking in the street straight over to another and then another. And I'm thinking, hang on, I'm baffled here. Is this the case or is this not the case? Can they do it or can they not do it? Can shadow people do more than we presume that they can do? I don't know. That's another thing I don't understand.
It's even the spirit world. I think we're all agreed on that. I always say you don't know what it's like until you get there. You might get out pieces. They might give you pieces, or you might get ideas. But I don't. You'll never truly know what happens until you get there. And same with this. I think we have ideas and perceive ideas of shadow people, and not just shadow people, other things as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll ever know to a full extent what actually happens. I think that we'll always, in thousands of years, we'll still be stuck at that. You know, you have ideas, but there's still been never any concrete of where you physically know everything how it works.
Yeah,
because I think that's the reason we're here. You know, we're here to learn things, and obviously I know
No,
people have
really.
different thoughts and perceive why we're here. But I think again, you know, if you knew everything, what would be the point?
You'd be a scared person. Believe me.
Yeah,
There is, because there's a lot of this,
if you
lot of
found
this
out what
world
they
that we
really
don't
were,
realise. You know what I mean?
definitely.
Like
Even with
shadows, ghosts, stuff like that. I mean, there you go. You don't know, do you?
even
We only
mediumship,
know half of it.
like I always like just sort of on topic at the same time, but even with mediumship, right? So obviously, Carl's done mediumship with me. We've done the awareness class. We give messages out, obviously, and I remember always thinking, how do they know like you're going to give a message to this person? You know what I mean? You give a message and it's accurate, and people can take everything you've said. That spirit is you can't perceive the time, and they're in a queue, or there's all these people just turned up to go right. Here we go. Let's say what we're going to say. I find it quite mind-boggling, and how amazing. You know, you get these messages in your head, or you might hear them, or you might see things, and you give it off to these people, and they take it. And it's quite an amazing process. But again, I think it's something you'll never truly know. You'll never know how it works in that sense. You just go with your gift you've got, and you know, sort of go with it.
Yeah, but we only use a certain percent of our brain anyway, don't we?
Hmm.
So perhaps mediums tend to have a bit more extra, you know what I mean, to do that. Because they reckon if we was to explore the rest of what we don't see, you know, with our mind, and we could venture into that, we'd uncover so many things that we wouldn't believe. So we only use a percentage of our brain. So what's beyond that, nobody knows. Some people might have the ability to have the extra or a little bit more than what the normal is, and that's where they can see people. That's where they can hear voices. That's where they can communicate with the dead. That's where they can, you know, it's possible. That's what I read anyway. But I don't know. But they do say you only use part of your brain. If you was to use all of it, you'd be amazed at what really goes on and what you really, your brain is capable of actually taking in.
Probably
It's
the
amazing.
little things you miss. Yeah. What
Yeah,
about you, Carl?
like you
yeah,
know, with like
definitely.
we can't see spirits. Yeah, we might even be able to see spirits on that other side.
Well, certain
Actually
people can,
walking.
can't they? Well, certain
Imagine it.
people have
That's it.
certain people have them experience where they see spirit as in full solid being stood
Yeah.
next to them.
Right.
Obviously, not everyone has that gift. And go on, Carl. I'll let
Exactly.
you go on, bud.
Yeah, I look at it like it's like a giant puzzle, isn't it? From the first pieces when you're
Well,
born
yeah.
to the last pieces when you die, you know, and that's
Yeah,
when it unlocks all the secrets when you put them all together. When you put all the pieces together, the final piece that goes in is when you go to the other side, and that's when you know what it is.
No,
that's a
exactly.
great analogy.
But it always makes you think why you can only use so much of your brain and not all of it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You think you're a human. You've got the whole calibre in there. You know what I mean? You can use it all and all that. But we only use a percentage of that brain. It's quite weird.
yeah,
If we used to explore,
definitely.
we would find a bit more. I think we'd be amazed at what really goes on.
Well,
You know
things
what
like
I mean?
this,
It's
I
crazy.
call it like a brain fart because it makes my
Yeah,
mind go. And everyone will be leaving this episode this week with a headache and going with headaches.
yeah,
So yeah.
man,
So,
it's
guys,
crazy.
just before we do wrap this week's episode, don't forget, as I mentioned earlier, we are sponsored by Paranormal Technology. Paratech, finding the truth. You're not just buying equipment, you're buying experience. So make sure you do check them out, guys, and have a look on Mark's Facebook page. Again, you know, I can't big him up enough, and he's a great guy, and you know, he will look after you. And of course, Thursday Night Live, our brand new show, which of course is sponsored by Paranormal Technology. Thursday, the 12th of August at 8 p.m., we will be live for our night of experimental communication with the spirit world. Again, you know, as I mentioned, it will cover all bases, you know, from table tipping to cat balls, spirit boxes, music boxes,
You tune
everything
into
you can
that.
possibly think of. And if there is something you'd like to see us do on a live, or like to see us ever go out, we will definitely do that. So make sure you comment in the comment section. And as I've said about all your comments tonight, I will look back at them and I will comment back to each and every one of you as well. And of course, Paranormal Living Live, Discovering the Truth Beyond the Veil. Friday the 30th of August, we will be live from our location at 9 p.m. GMT time. So make sure you do check in, guys. and be a part of that show. And we really do appreciate, of course, all your follows and all your involvement with the show. It's very much appreciated. So, Carl and Bob, thank you very much for
cool.
tuning in. Thank you very much for being a part of this week's
Welcome. episode.
It's been
You're welcome.
it's been really good. I've really enjoyed it, actually. Again, we probably could have done this for hours. You know, it's really interesting, and obviously our different thoughts and how similar some of our thought processes as well. And of course, guys, for your comments, as I say, well, you know, I will get back to each and everyone and comment back and like the comments and stuff. And hopefully I'll be able to go live from a holiday. So that won't be too bad. And don't forget, next week, our next week's episode, it's all about possession. So not possession, it's possession, like demonic possession. Of course, exorcisms, there's going to be a lot sort of covered in that episode, so make sure you do check in. Of course, 7:30 next Tuesday. It is another pre-recorded one, but of course, please do tune in because it's still going to be an interesting episode. And this is another one I'm sort of looking forward to doing some research into.
Definitely.
Obviously, I know bits, and of course, we've seen the films. So obviously, we'll be talking about all that. So make sure you do check out. That is, of course, all about possession, exorcism, and things like that. So make sure you do check in. Thank you very much, guys. Make sure you do subscribe to the podcast as well. Apple Podcasting, we're on Google, and of course Podbean. We did release one Thursday just gone, which was only a short but sweet one, which was, of course, sort of a quick look back at the last 12 months of the podcast. Crazy. It's been a year already doing the podcast. You know, from as I tell you about how it started and that first podcast with Jay and to where we are now with Bob and Carl and the solo podcast and the interviews. We do have a few more interviews lined up in the near future, so I'll be announcing them very, very soon. And hopefully Mark will be on the podcast as well. So, guys, from me, Bob and Carl, you know, thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. Love and light. Adios.
Be safe.
Take care, everybody.